Hello, and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today, we are going to interview the legendary actor Tom Sizemore. Now, Tom has starred in classic movies like Saving Private Ryan, Black Hawk Down, Red Planet, Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner, True Romance, Born on the 4th of July with Tom Cruise, and Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. And those are just a few of the incredible movies he has made. One of my favorite movies of all time was Heat, because it is such an extraordinary look into the world of high-end crime. If you love heist movies and crime dramas, then Heat is the absolute best movie in that genre. One more thing I want to say. It's rare that I'm surprised, but Tom really surprised me in this interview. This man is not just a legendary actor, but he's a very, very good man, and his star is on the ascendancy. I believe that his best work is ahead of him, and I think you'll agree when you see this incredible interview. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe, like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so I encourage you to click on the notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. I'd also like to tell you about a service called HollywoodIsCalling.com. It's a great service that allows you to purchase live phone calls from your favorite celebrities, so check it out. It's something you can buy as a gift for yourself or as a gift for somebody you know. A live 15-second call is $19.95, and a live 30-second call is $29.95. So give it a try. HollywoodIsCalling.com. Now let's say hello to actor Tom Sizemore. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the John Ark Show. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, John. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
So we did some research, and I see that you and I were both from Detroit, Michigan. What part of Detroit did you live in?
You're from Detroit, really? Wow. Yeah, I was born in Detroit in 1961. I grew up, initially, I was in Corktown, which was right across the street from Tiger Stadium.
Yes.
And I was there until I was in kindergarten when I was 4 years old. And we moved to the east side of Detroit. I lived at 6 Mile and Gratiot, essentially, by city. And I lived there until I was 17, and then I went to college. So I spent my formative years and most important years on the east side of Detroit.
Interesting. So is it true that you went to both Bishop Gallagher and Wayne State University in Detroit?
Yes, it is.
That's interesting. So I went to Wayne State as well. Very interesting.
You did?
Yeah. So
I really like Wayne.
What's that?
I really like.
Yeah,
I really liked Wayne.
Yeah. It's a great university. How old were you when you moved to California?
25, 26.
Okay.
I took an apartment, but I didn't stay. I kept my apartment in New York, but I was out here when I was later in my 26th year.
Interesting. So historically, the movie industry is very difficult for outsiders to break into. How did you get your first break?
I went to in America in the 80s. There was Robert Brustein started this an acting I guess a formula for American actors to be able to do Shakespeare and do what we call kitchen sink drama, which is what we call naturalism, which is what you watch on television every day. And he had a theory about it and a way to teach it, to do both. The League of Professional Actors, the PATP, Professional Actor Training Programs, and it was Yale, Juilliard, Temple, University of Washington in San Diego, University of Washington at Seattle, University of California, San Diego, Brandeis, etc. There were 12 of them. And that's where Meryl Streep went, Kevin Kline, a whole bunch of actors that we all know well and love. And I auditioned for them. I was trying to figure out a way, when I was at Wayne, I was a theater major. How do you get from here to motion pictures? And so I read about these programs and I auditioned for Temple. I was admitted. And when you graduated from Temple, what they did was they had all the schools would come together with the graduating classes and do a presentation in New York City for the agents, managers, and casting directors that were significant at that time. And that was, you got introduced to, I mean, everyone from CAA to little agents like writers and artists would attend these things because Meryl Streep had come through there, Bill Hurt, Christopher Reeve. So that's how I got my, when we did ours after 3 years of the program, getting my master's, I got an agent, the Michael Bloom Agency, which was a significant agency. And I immediately was going out for, guest spots on television shows, etc. And I finally broke through after a year with Catherine Bigelow was directing a movie called Blue Steel, and Oliver Stone was pitching it. And I auditioned for her. I screen tested. I got the part. It was a smallish part, but she, of course, saw it, and Oliver Stone saw it. I was cast in that movie, then cast in Born on the 4th of July. And then while doing Born on the 4th of July, I became very close to Mr. Stone. And that led finally to the role in Natural Born Killers, which is when I really started to have a face and a voice in the movies of that time period, and this more significant movies.
Now, was it the relationship that you formed with Stone on that movie that allowed you to continue making other movies with him?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was if you want to know what the relation, there was this sequence in the movie that I was playing a quadriplegic where I had to do something, and I worked on it so much because thought they were going to have to use a stuntman, and he didn't want to, and I was able to get this stuff down to where he didn't have to cut away and use a stuntman, so he could stay on me. And it was really hard to do, and it made a big impression on him. And when he was casting Natural Born Killers, he thought of me as doing that role, and I was still very much an unknown actor. And he gave it to me. He let me have the role of Scagnetti, which started my more significant movie career.
Right. Do you remember getting your first serious movie paycheck? And if so, did you buy anything special for yourself with that money, or did you sock it away for a rainy day?
The first significant money I got, I remember it very well. I'll be straight honest with you. Why not? It was $112,000, and it was for a movie called Lock Up. And I put it in my checking account at Chase, and I would go to the ATM and take pictures of it with my camera and send it to my mom. And I didn't take any money out of it for like 2 weeks. I just would take pictures of it because I thought I had money for the rest of my life. What did I buy with it? Yes, I did. I bought first significant thing I bought was I bought a car. I bought a Mustang convertible and 5.0, and that was the most significant thing I bought. And I was for a long time very subdued with my money, but it got bigger and bigger, and then I got less subdued.
Now you starred in Born on the 4th of July with Tom Cruise, which was written by Oliver Stone. And I love Stone's movies because I love his scripts. How was working on that movie for you?
I love Oliver Stone too. Some people think he's a bit bombastic or whatever, and I love him for the same reason you do. I love the scripts. I mean, he wrote Scarface. He wrote The Midnight Express. I saw for the first time how impassioned a filmmaker is, and they all share the same quality about what they're trying to, what vision or what they're trying to say. When I got to the Philippines and did my scenes with Tom Cruise, the way Oliver worked, the intensity, his just wanting it, just the way he wanted it, and it really impressed me. It was a very serious undertaking. It wasn't fun and games. It was a serious endeavor by a seriously bright man who was doing this for a very specific reason.
What was your impression of Tom? I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
What was your?
Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
What was your impression of Tom Cruise, both as a professional and as a person?
We had a read through in New York City for the movie with the entire cast, and it was a cast of a lot of people. I arrived probably a half hour early. Tom was already there, and he was in this big room, and he was working in the wheelchair. He was already deeply enmeshed in Ron Kovic and how to work that wheelchair, because a man who's been in a wheelchair for 15 years is going to be much different than an actor who's been in a wheelchair for 15 days. And his work ethic, and he had already learned the ability to give the feeling of being intimately concerned, like the way he just greeted everyone. I think he is one of the nicer people I've ever met in show business. And I don't think there's a harder working actor. The amount of work I saw him do in that wheelchair, both in New York City and then later in the Philippines, was astonishing. He never left the chair. He basically lived in that chair. And for most of the movie, except when he was not working in the hotel, and when he was in the hotel, he was exercising. He was just completely committed. And I was really, really impressed. I mean, he's a year younger than me, and I was astonished at his commitment.
I'm going to fast forward here a little bit. You mentioned his commitment and his work ethic. He did a movie called Collateral, where he plays an assassin with Jamie Foxx, and I can tell by the way he handles that firearm that he's been trained significantly. And I love that kind of attention to detail.
That's two committed lunatics, kind of, in a good way. Michael Mann, who I did Heat with, and then a TV show, and Tom Cruise. There are no two harder working people. And that Tom was so proficient with that firearm. I mean, he could have been he looked like a special forces. I mean, he was that good with it. And the shootout in Heat, you can tell. I think Val handles his weapon the best, but we all handled him very well. And that was because of Mr. Mann's insistence on the work.
Now, you also did another movie that I really enjoyed for a variety of reasons called True Romance. I love movies that are well written, and this one was written by Quentin Tarantino and directed by Tony Scott. Now, Ridley gets a lot of credit for a lot of great movies, but Tony was also a great director. Gangster movies and love stories are very difficult to combine, but True Romance does it beautifully. And parts of it, also reference Detroit. So that was also intriguing for me as well. Tell me about working on True Romance.
I was offered the part of James Gandolfini played, the hitman. And at that point, I had made a significant amount of money, and I had an apartment in New York and LA. I was in New York City when I got the offer. I read the script. I thought it was wonderful, but I turned it down because I didn't want to beat up Patricia Arquette in a movie. So it was Risa Bramon casting it, who cast Natural Born Killers and was the big casting director at the time. She called me and she said, Tony Scott wants to call you. And I said, about what? And she said, he's having a problem with you having turned us down. So he called me and he asked me why I didn't want to do this. And I explained why. And he said, well, I think I really enjoy your work. I want you in my movie. What part do you think you would play? And I said, well, I'd like to play the lead. And he said, well, let's been cast with Christian Slater. Everything's been cast. And he said, and he gave me the parts that weren't. And I said, he said the nickels and dimes, and Christopher Penn was playing the other cop. And I thought Christopher was wonderful. So I said, I'll play that part. And what was interesting was, well, who do you think should play the hitman? And I knew James Gandolfini, and I mentioned his name. And he ended up getting the part. The actual doing of the movie and how Tony's life ended just really, they didn't jibe with me. Of all the filmmakers I worked with, he seemed to have the most fun. I mean, he loved his crew. And before every take, he'd go, all right, man. All right, we're going to rock and roll. And are we ready now? Are we ready? We're rock and roll. And all right, action. And then in every single take, he did the same thing. Are we ready, man? We're going to rock and roll, man. And with such joy, it was so authentic. You couldn't help but get swept up in his joy. And I just loved him. I loved him as a director and as a person. And I don't know what happened near the end of his life. And he doesn't get the same. He doesn't get this. He's not held in the same regard as Ridley. And gosh, we know Ridley is a wonderful director, but so was Tony. Tony was wonderful.
By the way, that was a great Tony impression you just did. It's spot on.
So it was. Oh. Rock and roll, man.
Excellent. Well, at that point in your career, you were developing a reputation for playing really smart, really tough bad guys on the screen. And you also developed a reputation for stealing the scenes from your co-stars. Is it possible to teach an actor how to steal or dominate a scene, or do you simply have to be born with that kind of charisma?
I never went into a scene ever trying to win the scene, dominate the scene. I have the same feeling about it as I've always had, which is how do we make this scene work and do the best I can. I've never tried to. I was just. I guess it's just something I'm fortunate to have.
Do you think your charisma, and you're always charismatic on the screen, even it's remarkable. And I never knew if it was construed and engineered, or if it was just natural, or what was going on, but it happens in almost every one of your scenes. Do you think your charisma was created on the streets of Detroit? Was it something that you manufactured, or, with your acting skills, or were you just born with it? Because it's ever present in all your movies. And I think that's why directors keep hiring you.
I think I'm just who I am, but there was something about being a young man in Detroit in those years that you had to figure out, because of the racial dilemma that the Detroits had for some time, and where I lived. I had to figure out a way to be, to not get messed with, and the way I learned to be was engaging, easy, not confrontational, and I guess a fun person. I remember thinking this when I was going to high school, that I was going to go to a high school that was, a pretty tough high school, and then I ended up going to Bishop Gallagher instead. I went to Austin first, but I was going to go to Osborne, and it was like 50% black and 50% white. And I remember Gregory Mercer was African-American, my best friend in junior high. He said, "Tom, you don't got to worry about it, man. The brothers love you, bro. Man, you're just the coolest dude around. You don't got to do nothing. You don't got to worry about it. High school's going to be just like this is. There'll be more people. That's it. Just going to be more people, more girls." And I'll never forget this talk with him. And, it was, Detroit was a very demanding place to be a young person in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And then I moved from Bishop Gallagher. I moved to downtown Detroit to the Cass Corridor, one of the most violent, areas in America. And I'm going to go to college here.
People have no idea. People have no idea how it is there. Detroit is basically a war zone disguised as a city.
No shit, John. It's true. Wayne State University was like the Bastille. It was a war zone disguised as a university, and right a block away, gunfights going on, and you had to learn how to be there, and you had to learn how to be able to focus and concentrate in basically a war-torn zone. And I think that maybe that having to do that and being conscious that I'm doing it contributed to my ability to be in movies.
I think so. I think somehow it imprinted on you and it left its mark. So Wyatt Earp is another incredible movie that stands the test of time. And perhaps it's because it's a Western, perhaps it's because of the incredible acting. What are your memories of working on that movie like?
Larry Kasdan was one of the nicest, one of the more engaging and honest about his own personal struggles with certain issues. He made you want to be wonderful. And he got such a kick out of when something would work. Like when we do a take that really worked, he would go, "Cut. Oh God, that was great." that was great. Oh God, that's great. We wait till you guys see this in the movie. Oh, that was great. And he I mean, I loved him, and I still do. And Kevin, who was Larry's find, Kevin Costner is one of the nicest men I've ever known, and he knew what he meant to Larry. And I just remember Kevin really going out of his way to make Larry feel good, and I really could almost make me tearful, because Larry had some issues, and how Kevin knew, and how kind he was to him. It was Larry Kasdan's very lovely man.
You know, people don't realize how fragile life is, how easily it can be snatched away. And if they did, I think they'd be a little nicer to each other. They really would. You know,
I really do, especially at this difficult time in our society, in the world. I think that one of the ways we're going to get through this is we have to start being nice to each other, and kindness is important. We can disagree, but we don't hate each other.
So now this next movie has a very special place for me because I love it so much, and everybody I know loves it so much. So next we're going to talk about Heat, a movie you starred in with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. Now, many experts regard Heat as the greatest crime drama of all time. Personally, I think it's even better than Scarface because of director Michael Mann's attention to detail. It's so extraordinary. In fact, you know this very well, Heat is so brilliant that it served as both the inspiration and the template for some real-life crimes, like the famous 1997 North Hollywood bank shootout, in which, and by the way, every time I see that video of that actual shootout, I feel like I'm back in Detroit. But in the North Hollywood shootout, in the North Hollywood Bank of America shootout, in which Larry Phillips and Emil Medisarno robbed the North Hollywood branch of the Bank of America, just like in the movie Heat, and then they were confronted by the LA police when they walked out of the bank. The news helicopters videotaped it all from above, and they showed it on the news. What were your thoughts? I'm sure you probably saw it. I'm sure all your friends called you and told you. What were your thoughts when you're watching that actual shootout?
I was worried. I was concerned about a backlash at Michael. I was thinking as I was watching it, I was at the San Ysidro Ranch in Santa Barbara with my then wife, Maeve. And I remember saying, "This is bad for Michael." And she said, "What do you mean?" I go, "People are going to say he glamorized bank robberies with that shootout," and he didn't. It was just that was my concern. Mm-hmm. That these two knuckleheads, who it turned out weren't high-end bank robbers, they'd watched the movie a lot and decided to do. They got away with it. Apart from my being shot to death, I mean, Val and Bob get away with it. Mm-hmm. That three men can take on the police force and beat them. It was worrisome, but there was no backlash. I mean, there was nothing badly written about Michael or the glamorization of violence. But that was my concern.
So you're filming Heat with Pacino and De Niro, and you're being directed by Michael Mann. Did you sense this was going to be a historic movie while you were making it? Interesting.
We all know I've had some issues in the last 10 years. Those days, the 90s, I mean, from like 89 to 2003, were the greatest years of my life. But when I was living them, I was just living them. I knew I was making a really good movie because Michael Mann's a great director and those guys are great actors. But I didn't know, and I don't think you could know, that you might be making a timeless classic. Mm-hmm. If I were to know it, it would have been on that movie, and I didn't know it. I became very close to Mr. De Niro, and what the movie was for me I got to intimately know my childhood idol and hero, and he was everything I would have hoped that he would be, kind, concerned, a listener, never too busy, and just I can't say enough nice things about Mr. De Niro, and he's helped me enormously. But as to it being a movie classic, I just thought we were making a great movie. That's all.
Were you able to enjoy the experience of making a movie like that, or was it just so much hard work and so intense that you couldn't really relax during the process?
I'm very lucky in this respect. I believe I love acting and I love movies. I've never ever viewed it as work, really. Mm-hmm. The getting up early was maybe the only thing I ever thought was a drag. These 6 o'clock calls, I've always loved it. I had a lot of confidence in myself, and I never even felt like, what am I doing here with this caliber of person? I thought I belonged there. And, Michael, I think, was more cognizant of that. I might be feeling a certain way, and went out of his way, I think, at times to praise me. And it was never work to me. It was always just fun. All of them. No, especially Natural Born Killers, Wyatt Earp. There's like about 10 of them that were especially just a joy.
Now, were you picking the scripts out? Were they being reviewed and recommended by your agents? How do you come across so many great projects, one after another? What is going on there?
Well, the directors, directors are even a smaller world than actors. That once you do a great job for a great director, the word gets around. And when I became a client at CAA, I told my agent, I said, listen, I don't want to make this too complicated, what I'm trying to do. I want to work with the world's best directors. That's it. I don't want to do a certain kind of movie. I'm not trying to be a certain kind of actor. I want to work with the world's greatest directors and then let the road unfold from there. And I remember Brian said, Tom, everybody does. I said, well, I'm one of them. I do too. And, we got Natural Born Killers, which was the linchpin that connected everything. It was a very watched movie by the world's directors. I did I think, one of my best jobs, and they just dovetailed. And I was just working with 10, 12 of the world's greatest living directors, right in a row.
Let me ask
very lucky.
Let me ask you a background question. How many terrible scripts do you have to read to find one golden one? Or are those already pre-filtered before they get to you?
They don't know. A lot of them are pre-filtered. Most are pre-filtered. But even so, I would say at that time, probably 25 to 35 pieces of shit. Not pieces of shit, movies that were pedestrian to a nugget, a golden nugget. I mean, when you're reading just average fare, when True Romance comes across your table, I mean, it jumps out at you. It just goes, I'm great. And that was the easy part. Those movies that you love so much were easy to pick. Mm-hmm.
So I suspect that when real life gangsters and hardcore criminals recognize you in public, they must come up to you and ask for a selfie. Have any criminals ever come up to you and told you that you and Heat inspired them to pursue their criminal careers?
I don't know. I never got that exact sentence, but I have had an enormous amount of praise in my private life from real life gangsters and criminals. As like, hey man, that's what it's like. That's what we do. That's how we talk. That's how we behave. That's how it goes down. I mean, thousands maybe, of times.
Yeah.
And also Saving Private Ryan, Pearl Harbor, and Black Hawk Down. I've had a similar experience with our fighting men. Yes, I have been. I get quite a amount of attention from those people.
So the movie Heat has reached mythological levels of popularity. I know a lot of guys in the CIA, the military, and law enforcement, and they just worship the movie and all the stars in it. Have you ever been approached by someone in real life you thought was going to rob you, only to find out that they were a huge fan of yours and they wanted a selfie?
One time.
One time?
One time, yes.
Interesting.
This guy in a restaurant, I saw him see me. He leaned over and talked to another man, and then he got up, and he was so intimidating, and the walk was so long. And I finally said to my friend, "This motherfucker's going to hurt me." And I was getting up to run when he went, "I can't tell you how much I love you, Tom Sizemore. You are the man." I ended up talking to him. His name was Vinny, and he worked for the Colombo crime family.
Was that in New York or LA?
A very active mobster.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did that happen in New York or LA?
Yeah, New York. Yeah.
New York. Interesting. So when this episode airs, you're going to be seen by countless guys from the world of law enforcement, from the world of narcotics trafficking, from organized crime, the financial sector on Wall Street. Even major street gangs are going to see this, and they all love Heat and all the actors. I've even heard rumors that presidents and dictators from foreign countries love Heat. Do you have any great stories from Heat that you can tell us about the making of the Heat or working with celebrities in it? Or?
I can't. I don't know if it's a great story. You remember that when before Bob realizes that they're onto us, when we're about to get Van Zant's we're about to get the bonds. Mm-hmm. Val's drilling the thing. Mm-hmm. I'm up the telephone pole and Bob's out front, and they're across the street in a van surveilling us. Mm-hmm. And it's like a weirdly shaped window, and Pacino's looking through it. And then one of the officers in there who turns and his gun hits the van, and you see De Niro from Pacino's point of view. You see De Niro go, boom. He walks in and he goes, "We're gone. We're out. We're gone." And Val says, "I'm almost there." He goes, "We're gone." Boom. And we do what his dictum is: when you feel the heat, you leave 30 seconds flat, and boom, he's gone. I'm down the pole, and we leave. When I went to work that day, the shot is of Bob through that weirdly shaped window, and they were lighting it, right? We were called to the set several times. We never rolled. We were there for 14 hours, and we never turned the camera on. It never started. Michael couldn't. It was such a maniac about his details. He could not get the light right. He couldn't get it right. And I spent an entire day with about 400 crew members, and we never rolled film. We didn't do one shot. And that's unheard of. You just don't do that. This was supposed to be something we did really quickly, and we were moving on to something else. Right. And it took us 2 days. Yeah.
But that scene is still memorable today, precisely because of the way you describe it. I can still see De Niro's face seen through the infrared camera, the night vision camera. Yeah. And, that's the detail. Yeah, that's the detail. There's the drama. Drama is right there in that moment. Yeah. And Michael did it right, and he didn't shoot it. We never even tried. And we came back the next day and we got it. I've always thought that starring in a classic movie like Heat was a huge advantage because everywhere you go, everyone you meet is anxious and happy to meet you. Is that the case, or is being a star on that level more complex and burdensome than that? It's a mixed bag. At times it's a real pleasure and it's wonderful. And other times it depends on I think for me, it's so simple. If I'm okay in my life and things are going well, and I'm not in a hurried way, I like interfacing with my fans. If I'm not having a nice day or whatever, it can be a burden. For the most part, I would say 80% of the time, it's a pleasure. No, I heard a few years ago that Michael Mann was going to be making a prequel to Heat. Have you heard anything lately? I heard that too, and I've not heard anything lately. I think it's probably true. Michael is very, very close-lipped about what he does, and I know he was doing a movie in China that was going on and on and on. But no, I've not heard anything since I first heard it. When you heard it. So there are a lot of Hollywood movies and TV shows in which the characters died or were killed off. And then the producers created a sequel or a prequel, and they bring all the stars back in a reimagined version of the movie. I think that Michael should do the same thing with Heat. I think you guys should put out a Heat movie every 2 or 3 years and just let that money train roll straight to the bank with a monster pile of cash for all the stars. I really think it's a franchise property. Now, they've cranked out a number of Godfather movies. Why not do the same thing with Heat? What do you think?
Michael Mann's palette, his canvas is so large. I mean, he did Heat, and the next movie he did was The Insider. I mean, could we do a different movie? There's not even a gun in The Insider. There's no handgun. There's no one shoots anybody. I don't see it because of Michael's curiosity and his curiosity and the things that he is interested in are so many layered and so varied that I don't really see. He's not a sequel type director.
Right. So you started another massive hit called Saving Private Ryan, and this classic just keeps getting better year after year. Where did you guys film that movie, and what was it like working with Steven Spielberg?
You're gonna make me cry. You love these movies so much.
I do. Let me tell you something real quick here. When I was living in Detroit, in a war zone, there were times that it was just really not wise to go outside. So what did I do? I watched movies. And that was how I insulated myself from the insanity and the war outside the door. But anyways, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. Movies have been for me. I mean, when I was a young boy and a young man, that's what they did for me. I was in Detroit too. I went and saw Taxi Driver and The Deer Hunter probably 40 times. You know, it was safer to be in a movie theater watching that movie than it was to be outside in Detroit. Mm-hmm. My mother would take us to these on the weekends to these, triplex, 3 movies. It was something that you did to get out of harm's way. Mm-hmm. And those were great movies to do it with. Private Ryan was shot in D-Day was shot in Ireland in it's right. If this is Ireland right here, mm-hmm. It was a city right here, and it's where the Kennedys. It's where Joe Kennedy father was born and raised. The father to the Joe Kennedy that was Jack Kennedy and Bob Kennedy's father. Starts with a C. I can't remember the name of the city off the top of my head. We shot D-Day there. We were there for 28 days, and then the rest of the movie was shot outside of London in what was once an airport that had gone into disrepair that Stephen bought and built the 2 cities, Rommel and I can't remember the other city, but the rest of the movie was shot in London, right outside, like a 40-minute drive outside of London. And those cities were built by a production crew. But D-Day was shot in Ireland, on the coast of Ireland, in a city that the Kennedys, Jack Kennedy went there after the Ich bin ein Berliner moment. He went to that city on his way back to America to see where the house that his grandfather had lived in.
Limerick? Limerick?
No, not Limerick. No, look, she'll find out.
Okay. By the way, Tom, I have to tell you, you're really surprising me because this interview is not going the way I thought it would. I know you haven't done many interviews in the past, but that's a real shame because this interview is going really well. So just
really?
Yeah. Just want to thank you for that. So you did another great movie called Enemy of the State, which foreshadowed the surveillance state that we all face in today's modern society. What are your thoughts as you look back on that movie?
Cork City. I'm sorry.
Yep. Yep. You want me to repeat it?
Cork City.
Okay.
Cork is where Joe Kennedy's father, Joe Kennedy, the patriarch, his father was born and raised in Cork City, and that's where Saving Private Ryan, where Stephen and all of us shot the beginning, the opening, D-Day.
Nice. So you did another great movie called Enemy of the State, which foreshadowed the surveillance state that we all face in today's society. What are your thoughts as you look back on the making of that movie?
I was with Tony, Tony, we both love him. Well, I had just done John Gotti. I had just done a movie called Witness to the Mob that Bob De Niro produced about John Gotti, and I had gained, I think, like 40 odd pounds to play John, and I actually got almost a little too big, but anyway, I had gained this weight, and I got this offer to do this movie just as I was finishing up this Witness to the Mob, which was a TV special, two-parter, 5 hours of entertainment, and I've been in New York City for almost a year shooting it, and I get a call from Risa about Enemy of the State to do a cameo, but a very, very important cameo of this character named Pintero. I said, Risa, I can't be in front of a camera again until I lose this weight. I'm way overweight. I was like 234 pounds, and I should be around 190. Mm-hmm. And she said, so you're really? And I said, I can't be filmed like this. I mean, being filmed as John Gotti it's so obvious I'm playing John Gotti. It's fine, but it was what I wanted for the part. Tony, I was back in LA like a week later when I got a call from Tony, who he said, "Listen, come sit down with me." And he came over to my neighborhood, and we had coffee. And he said, "You are fat, and I want you fat. I want Pintero fat. This is perfect. You are fat, and you embrace your fatness." And then he said, "And I'm going to pay you X." And it was a lot. And I said, I still was, I said, I just don't want to be this fat. And he went, Tom, you're going to be in the movie for like a few minutes, but incredibly important minutes. I need an imposing, indelible character, and you can do it. And we'll pay you this much money. And he said, you don't have any idea how funny you'll look in the Speedos I'm going to put you in when we shoot this video. And his exuberance and it's not going to affect you. And then he said, if you want, I can do it unbilled. I won't even put your name on the movie. And I'm not there. You look at the crawl, it doesn't say my name. I'm not there. So people might even leave the movie and go, God, Tom Sizemore got fat. And then they can look at who was in the movie and they're going to go like, he's not even in the movie.
They're going to be so hypnotized by the Speedos that they're not even going to notice you.
Everybody say money, money. Everybody say not guilty, not guilty. Whoop. That ain't me. That ain't you. That ain't me. That's how it starts.
So you also did Black Hawk Down, which was so intense. I remember seeing it in Los Angeles, actually. It was so intense that it literally leaves the audience exhausted by the end of the movie. How difficult was it to make it that realistic? And where did you guys film it?
We shot that movie in Rabat, Morocco. Inside of Rabat is actually it's called Sidi Moussa. It's like an enclave inside of Rabat, where the poorest and most disenfranchised Moroccans live. It was a dead ringer for Mogadishu. Ridley had looked all over the world for a Mogadishu-looking place, and this place was a dead ringer for it. Unemployment was 99%. There were no schools, and there was one hospital. I never saw so many poor. It was awing, the pain and the lack of resources that these people were dealing with on a daily basis. That was a byproduct of doing the movie there. We would pass out chocolate, the actors would, and I mean, when we would shoot a scene, there'd be 7,000 people right outside, and they were right outside the barricades, and they would watch us like and want to touch us. It made me appreciate my life, and it also made me appreciate how impactful money, but more so American motion pictures have on our world. And Ridley was very, 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 very much aware of it too. And that group of actors treated the countrymen that lived there in Sidi Moussa with such respect. It was a great experience. It was a moving experience. And it mirrored the pain and lack of food, etc., that got us involved in Mogadishu in the first place, which was we started dropping food in there because that warlord Adid was taking the food and not letting starving the people to death. And it was very easy to see how that could have happened because of where we shot it. And Ridley Scott is a cinematic genius. I mean, he really is. It was amazing.
Let's talk about the movie industry now. How much has the pandemic slowed down the production schedule for movies over the last year? And when do you think things will return to normal?
Well, it stopped the movie industry. I mean, there's only one SAG sanctioned movie in production as of a couple of weeks ago, which was the Mission Impossible 6 or 7 that Tom's doing in London. And nothing else is going on. Nothing else is shooting. It stopped everything. I've done a couple movies that were considered they're considered non-union, but the SAG sanctioned them. And it was so difficult to do because of the masks and the 6 feet, and you had to be tested. The actors could not wear masks only when they were acting, and they had to be tested every day. It didn't seem worth it to me.
Yeah.
Get back to normal. Well, I think, and I know what you know. I mean, there's 17 variants. These variants are they're more divisive. They spread faster. They're meaner to us. And does the vaccine capture them? Well, it seems to capture some of it, but not all of it. But we need to get vaccinated. We do.
This next question is going to be difficult to answer because everything has been complicated by the pandemic. But where do you think the most serious money is now being made by actors? Is it still with traditional big studio movies, or is it with Netflix and Amazon productions?
Well, the movie industry has changed so much. I mean, there's no movie theaters, like classic movie theaters that you and I were so lucky to enjoy as young people and as young adults. The big money is with Marvel and those movies. I mean, movies like Terms of Endearment, movies like Natural Born Killers simply aren't being made. They weren't being made prior to the pandemic. I don't see them being made anytime soon. And Netflix is the dinosaur, the gorilla. They have great taste. They do great work, but they're the big boy on the block right now, and I don't see it changing anytime soon.
You know, a lot of producers I know would now prefer to do a 10-part series for Netflix that is going to be shown around the world endlessly over a major motion picture, a studio picture.
They would prefer.
Yeah, they would prefer to do it because
People will see it.
People will see it constantly, over and over and over. It's not the traditional distribution window. What are your thoughts? If the money was similar and the production schedule was similar, would you rather do something like a 10-part Narcos, or would you rather do a major studio picture?
Well, that's a very difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of the rare actors that was fortunate enough to be in Heat, Saving Private Ryan, Natural Born Killers, True Romance, Enemy of the State, Wyatt Earp, Born on the 4th of July. The notion that those movies wouldn't get made is an overwhelming thought to me. I mean, that's my life, and it's a big part of your life. As we go forward, I mean, things are constantly in flux. I'd like to see it. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to do both, but if there was a way to do both, that'd be ideal. But I would have to say that I would prefer to do the Netflix in this day and age and the way it is. with the streaming and it being able to watch it all the time, because this whole process of acting, motion pictures, isn't complete until you watch it. That's the last part that makes it the art form what it is. So until people watch it, it's just something that's done. It's just something out there, you know. So these producer friends of yours, I think they're right.
So speaking of Narcos, what were your thoughts? I'm assuming you saw it. What were your thoughts when you saw it? Did you like it?
It was great.
Did you think it was okay just for a streaming movie? What were your thoughts?
It was great. I thought it was great. I couldn't wait to see the next one.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. It was incredibly well done. Netflix does great stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Spacey, Trouble. I know all about that. That show was fantastic. House of Cards. I could not get enough of it. I've rewatched it and rewatched it. I mean, he was fantastic in that, and so was I'm old. I just forgot Sean Penn's wife, the Princess Bride. What's her name?
Robin Wright.
And Miss Wright. It was just phenomenal in that, and I think it captured a side of Washington that's true, that's real, and that was Netflix. That was their first one out of the box, and I'd have died to have been a part of it.
By the way, you know what the #1 most popular TV show in mainland China was? House of Cards. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. That's fascinating, actually.
Yeah. They love it over there. So, the interesting thing about Narcos and the Pablo Escobar story is that people never get tired of it. I think a lot of people watch it because it's a gangster movie, but I also think the world loves watching a self-made man who is willing to do anything to improve his financial situation. Whether you're Tony Montana in Scarface, Pablo Escobar in Narcos, or you're Tom Sizemore, who grew up on the streets of Detroit and rose above it all to become a major Hollywood superstar, I think people never get tired of seeing that sort of thing unfold. What do you think? I think it gives them hope.
I think you hit it right on the head. It gives them hope.
Yeah.
They're doing dastardly things, but let's be honest, the good guys do dastardly things too. Escobar was a Robin Hood in a lot of ways. And I know he took a jetliner down to kill a presidential candidate, but I understand why people love him. I mean, he came from nothing. He wasn't supposed to have anything. And to watch a man who was never supposed to have anything, have everything, and then some, it's just great.
By the way,
I can go to college then.
By the way, the actor who played Escobar in Narcos, the pot-bellied guy, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. And, I normally don't like subtitles, but he was so good that I didn't care.
I didn't care either. I thought he was fantastic.
Have you heard anything about the new Scarface remake they're considering making?
I've heard about it. That's all. I just heard about it.
Okay.
Now, you say remake the first movie over again?
Remake the Tony Montana movie over again.
Make that
the Pacino movie over again.
Yeah, without Al, with new actors.
Yes.
But
I heard it got put on hold again. So I heard the Coen brothers did a script. I mean, so I don't know what's coming.
That Scarface is so indelible. It's so entertaining, and Pacino is so on it. If they make another one, they got a high bar to get to. And unless they can make it as great or greater, I wouldn't mess with it.
No. Yeah, it's a masterpiece. So I know a lot of celebrities that are moving out of California because of all the crime and civil unrest. Rapper Pop Smoke was murdered in his house. LeBron James has hired armed security to protect his home. Taylor Swift has had her place broken into twice. The list of celebrity break-ins is really long if you ever Google it. Do you still feel safe in Los Angeles, or have you thought about moving out because of everything that's going on?
I was going to lie to you just now.
What's that?
I was going to lie to you just now and tell you that I hadn't thought about it, but I have thought about it. It's not. It doesn't feel the same here.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It is. I feel like I am a flash. Okay, the pandemic's made it so people can't congregate that much together. If there wasn't a pandemic, and this vibe that is in this city was still alive, I feel like when I'm driving, sometimes there's lots of traffic, that I'm one flash second away from an assault, from like in violence. And I've never felt that way before in my life in America.
Have you heard about the latest thing that's going on in Beverly Hills? It's unbelievable. There have been homeless encampments and tents set up several streets away from the mansions. But now what these guys are doing, these guys with the homeless tents, they're setting up right in front of a mansion, right in front of a $10 or $20 million mansion. And then when they have to go to the bathroom, they get out of their tent, they walk up to the driveway to the front gate of the house, they smile at the security camera, and then they squat down and they go to the bathroom while waving at the security camera, and giving the finger to the occupant of the home, all in an attempt to generate a YouTube video. That's what Beverly Hills has become. So, it's definitely changing.
I mean, that's no, we can't put up with that.
If you were going to leave Los Angeles, where would you move to?
London.
London? Really? That's interesting. What do you like about London?
They got it all: the theater, the ballet, the landmarks, the history. It's a very liberal city. It's a beautiful city. Within London itself, you have all these enclaves, Chelsea, etc. They read. It's so cool to be an intellectual. I just love it. It's my favorite city.
That's interesting. Once again, Tom surprises me. Of all the celebrity friends you have, who are the ones that you really respect and think they're doing it right when it comes to the movie business?
Robert Downey Jr.
Really?
Robert.
That's interesting.
We have the same issues. We had the same issues, and
yeah,
he's amazing. What he did, what he's continuing to do, is give hope to so many people. But knowing him on a personal level, I didn't see that strength of character. And not only is he doing it, he's doing the best movies and his best work after going to prison. And a national humiliation that I suffered too. I just have incredible respect for him, and he's a wonderful actor. He was a wonderful actor before the problems too. Robert, Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Quentin Tarantino, David Duchovny, Falco, Meryl Streep.
You know what those people have? You know what those people have in common? One thing they all have in common is they don't make fools of themselves in public.
Never.
They're not being arrested every 15 minutes. They're not making fools. They're focusing on their business.
Yes, and they're all good people. I know those people.
Yeah.
They're honestly good, decent human beings. Stanley Tucci. Taylor Swift. There's a bunch.
Yeah. Are your parents still alive? And are your parents still alive? And if so, how much of your success did they get to enjoy and see?
My father passed away summer before. In 2020. I loved him. I loved him, and he was a big figure in my life. And I don't know. I kind of thought he'd live forever. So when he got sick, it was just really shocking. It still is. My mother, thankfully, is still with us. She just suffered a stroke recently, but she's really mean, and she's she's bounced back. But her stroke made me cognizant of that I'm going to lose her too. And the longer you live, the more you lose. And I never thought of that. I read that somewhere once, but when my father passed, I remembering reading that. I don't know where it was or hearing it, and they got to enjoy the greatest parts of it. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
So, Tom, I believe that your greatest achievements lie ahead of you, and I'm going to start talking to people I know about developing something for you. Are there any movie genres or types of projects that you are attracted to or that you want to avoid?
You're John, you're really impacting me here, making me emotional. Thank you for the kind words and the kind thoughts. Is there any genres or?
Yeah, are there any types of projects you're attracted to?
I love a great
Script.
I love a great script, like dramas. There really is nothing, if they do it right, a romantic comedy. If they can do a romantic comedy right, there's nothing really as much fun as watching a great romantic comedy. But dramas like Heat and well, that's like one of a kind. Good stories about people that we recognize, that we can see in ourselves. That's what attracts me.
You know, this interview really surprised me on a lot of different levels. It's not what I was expecting. And now I see more than ever why you are the success that you have been. I think the pandemic is still torturing the industry, but eventually that will subside and things will resume. You know, I think that, you know, I really do believe that your best days are ahead of you. Before we wrap things up, is there anything that you would like to promote?
I'd like to promote you, the John Ark Show. You are incredibly bright and emotionally connected in a really positive, optimistic way. You've made me feel very, very good. And I didn't expect this at all. You moved me emotionally. I'm going to watch your show from now on.
Tom, I got to tell you, man, this is a great interview. I'm surprised you haven't done more interviews. I understand there was a period of time where people like to maintain their privacy and not do too much press unless it was necessary. But you give a great interview. I mean, it's impossible not to see the caliber of your character. It really is fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a real pleasure. I didn't want to do this. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't know your show, and I'm very, very happy I did it. I've enjoyed myself. I feel like I'm out again. Only you're small, and I feel like I'm in a room with you.
Yeah. Well, it's been a real pleasure having you on the John Ark Show. I meant it when I said I truly believe that your best work and greatest success lie ahead of you. And whether it's myself or someone else that develops it for you, I know you're going to be bigger than ever. I want to wish you continued success. And you're always welcome back on the show, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, John.